What's going on, everyone? Jeremy here from The Quartering, and Donald Trump has just announced a potential ceasefire between Israel and Iran, and Core Mega is taking a huge victory lap for not swaying from their support of Donald Trump. There's a lot of other people who are pointing out some questionable things, including a report out of CNN long after Trump reported the ceasefire deal was in place that Iran had never even been proposed a ceasefire deal and didn't agree to any such thing. So it's a moment for mild celebration, but what are we really celebrating? Well, the fact that if true, it didn't go apocalyptic. There are a lot of people that I think rightfully still have criticisms about the nuclear facility strikes and any potential, counterstrikes. Obviously, this morning, Iran fired about a little more than a dozen missiles at U.S. targets in what we now know was essentially a ceremonial thing. 13 out of 14 of them were shot down, and one of them was allowed to just peter off into an area that wasn't going to cause any danger to American targets. And there was no counterattack from Trump. They let him do that. They let Iran do that. My guess is there might be some sort of coup going on behind the scenes, because this is all very interesting. By the way, I hope you're appreciating the new videos, more condensed today. We'll get back to more intros and working on the incremental improvements on each video tomorrow too. Lots of breaking news, so it's hard to kind of add a lot of extra, pizzazz to those. But let's talk about first the moment where Trump did in fact announce this ceasefire. Here's Brett Baer in real time responding to it.
I want to read this fully so I get the context here. Congratulations to everyone. It has been fully agreed by and between Israel and Iran that there will be a complete and total ceasefire in approximately 6 hours from now, when Israel and Iran have wound down and completed their in-progress final missions for 12 hours, at which point, the ceasefire for 12 hours, at which point the war...
That stuff always was weird to me. It's like, hey, we agreed to a ceasefire. Aw, but I was going to bomb these other things. Oh, okay, well, you could bomb those things, and then you could... Why isn't it just, if you're going to ceasefire it right there? By the way, if you're enjoying the news coverage today, please do leave a like on the video, and if you haven't yet, please do subscribe or follow down below. I know maybe you have to create an account or whatever, and it's a pain in the butt. However, I really, really would like to see my sub numbers go positive again.
War will be considered ended. Officially, Iran will start the ceasefire, and upon the 12th hour, Israel will start the ceasefire, and upon the 24th hour, an official end to the 12-day war will be saluted by the world. During each ceasefire, the other side will remain peaceful and respectful on the assumption that everything works as it should, which it will. I would like to congratulate both countries, Israel and Iran, on having the stamina, courage, and intelligence to end what should be called the 12-day war. This is a war that could have gone on for years and destroyed the entire Middle East, but it didn't and never will. God bless Israel. God bless Iran. God bless Iran. God bless the Middle East. God bless the United States of America. And God bless the world.
Now, again, great, but there is some stuff now. You guys know that I've tried to remain optimistic, and this was probably the best possible outcome after the strikes. Because, I would have preferred not to have the strikes in the first place, but then there's some questions though, right? This is, on CNN. Oh, this is 90 minutes ago. So this was after Trump announced it, right? Israel military issues new evacuation warning for Tehran. So they're already like, hey, we're doing these strikes anyway. Iran says they have not received any ceasefire proposal, senior officials say. Iran has not received any ceasefire proposal and sees no reason for one, a senior Iranian official told CNN. The official said that Iran would continue to fight until it achieves lasting peace, and that it would view remarks from Israel and the United States as a deception intended to justify attacks on Iran's interests. At this very moment, the enemy is committing aggression against Iran, and Iran is on the verge of intensifying its retaliatory strikes, with no ear to listen to the lies of our enemies, the official said. Now, we know that Iran and Israel do love their propaganda, but right now, the Qatari airspace has reopened. This is a minute ago. Israel issued new evacuation warnings for parts of Tehran. Military's, again, this is in District 7. I don't know. 12 minutes ago, a blast was heard in Tehran. But what's interesting is, Trump saying there's a ceasefire agreement between Israel and Iran, but Iran is denying that. That's what's very interesting. Vance also said he read a draft of Trump's post 2 minutes before it went to air and said that it's a little bit different than what the president had showed me a couple of hours ago. But again, I knew that he was working on the phones and was trying, as I was on the way over here. Iran is incapable of building a nuclear weapon with the equipment they have because we destroyed it, Vance added. CNN has reached out to the White House for additional information. So is the ceasefire real? To me, it seems weird that you would say, hey, we're going to have a ceasefire in 12 hours and not just say right now. Obviously, we have the Supreme Leader's Twitter account coming out. Who's actually putting out these who's putting out these statements? I don't know. Many believe that, Khamenei is gone. And maybe this peace deal was actually dedicated. I suspect that perhaps the ceasefire was negotiated with whatever regime is replacing him. That's very, very likely. He put this out. Those who know the Iranian people and their history know the Iranian nation isn't a nation that surrenders. Well, okay, maybe. Maybe. Now, this is the first time he's put out a message as, hey, look, we're not surrendering. He could be trying to save face with his people and saying, hey, it's not a surrender. We're going to carry out these missions. Officially, Iran will start the ceasefire. And upon the 12th hour, Israel will start the ceasefire. And upon the 24th hour, an official end to the 12-day war. Now, obviously, there's a lot of things that could go wrong here. Iran could continue to fire. Bibi Netanyahu could continue to carry out his strikes regardless of what America says. Now, Donald Trump did say, they said earlier that he was leaning on Bibi Netanyahu to get involved here. This says a complete ceasefire has been agreed to by Israel and Iran beginning in approximately 6 hours. So that would be maybe midnight our time, roughly. There's a lot of people are still saying, is this really done? Did Trump really negotiate this? I don't know. If we go to Trump's Truth Social, he himself had said that he would be, putting some pressure on Netanyahu to end this war. And I don't know if it was even a war, to be honest with you. This is 54 minutes ago when he talked about, here's the ceasefire. Congratulations, world. It's time for peace. That was 2 hours ago. And then here you see, I'd like to thank the highly respected Emir of Qatar, for all that he's done in seeking peace for the region regarding the attack on today's American base in Qatar. I'm pleased to report that in addition to no Americans being lost or wounded, very importantly, there have also been no Qataris or wounded, And you see here 3 hours ago, this is where it started. Iran has officially responded to our obliteration of their nuclear facilities with a very weak response, which we expected and have effectively countered. There had been 14 missiles fired, 13 were knocked down, and one was, quote, set free because it was headed in a non-threatening direction. I'm pleased to report that no Americans were harmed and hardly any damage was done. More importantly, they've got it out of their system, and there will hopefully be no further hate. I want to thank Iran for giving us early notice. So, again, is there a new regime being already installed? That's entirely possible. So we now know that Iran gave early notice. It was always going to be a symbolic one, which made it possible for no lives lost and nobody to be injured. Perhaps Iran can now proceed to peace and harmony in the region. And this part too, I will enthusiastically encourage Israel to do the same. Thank you for your attention on this matter. Donald J. Trump, President of the United States of America. So, I would say as early as 2 o'clock this afternoon, Trump had, already probably negotiated. Maybe this is a new regime. I don't know. Because the U.S. Vice President deflects when asked if the administration knows the locations of Iran's enriched uranium. This is something a lot of people have been said. Oh, it's missing. It's missing. There was trucks that were leaving this. I assume if we know that there's trucks leaving it, we know where those trucks went. Vance said the location of the uranium wasn't an important question, and that our goal was to bury the uranium. And I don't think that the uranium, and I do think it is buried. CNN had reported that earlier assessments raised questions over whether the U.S. destroyed the bulk of the country's enriched nuclear material with the weekend strikes. In fact, they say that they moved the 60% highly enriched uranium. The big concern, and this is, again, what we destroyed, is their ability to enrich uranium. If they have 60% enriched uranium, but they don't have the ability to enrich it to 90%, then they don't have the ability to convert it to a nuclear weapon. So if they have this, you could still use it for like a dirty bomb or something like that. But what he's saying is, if they've, they have the 60% somewhere, they're not going to be able to turn it into a nuke. We'll have to wait and see. I guess we'll know. I'm not going to put out a video at 2 o'clock in the morning, but we'll see how quickly, if somebody blinks here or if this is actually going to follow through. I'm nervous that, Trump is so so 100% sure. And then you have Iran saying we haven't surrendered. But here now, just minutes ago, actually, Iranian sources confirmed the ceasefire deal. Informed Iranian sources confirmed Amwaj Media that Iran and Israel have agreed to a ceasefire. A senior source in Tehran told the outlet that the truce will go into effect at 3:30 a.m. Jerusalem time, then transition to a conclusion. So now Iran has confirmed. Hopefully, I pray that this goes through. I hope you guys have been informed by the coverage today, and make sure you subscribe or follow down below, and we'll talk to you again real soon.